Hello, friends of Riverbend United Church, and welcome wherever you are. Tuning into this service, welcome. We remember that we are a treaty people and that we live and worship and work and serve on Treaty 6 lands. And we pray that we will honor those who have stewarded these lands long before we arrived. One announcement, if you want to buy a Safeway gift card, grocery card for your own use or to give to someone, you can do that this Tuesday night at the church, September 22nd, 7 to 8 p.m. The church receives a percentage of your purchases of these Safeway gift cards.
Hi everyone, my name is Kristen McCalco, and I wanted to talk to you about a new fundraiser that we're running online for the church. When the whole shutdown occurred last spring, I used that opportunity to teach myself how to sew masks, and it's turned into a passion of mine. I started with just making them for my family, and then I can expand it in friends, coworkers, and then right before the start of school, I actually did a bunch for a group of teachers, making kind of some playful ones, some pretty ones, and then just some practical ones. But it seems I never stopped making them after that. And I continue to make lots of different masks, pretty ones, plain ones, and practical. So as you can see, it's become a bit of an obsession. And what do when you make more masks than you could ever possibly use? You set up a website and you sell them to raise money for your favorite places. I've been attending Riverbend United for probably a year and a half now, and it is one of my favorite places. So what better place to sell my masks and to provide them to the members of the congregation. So that being said, the website is set up. It will be provided to you in the front pew and in the Friday announcements. And when you go there, you enter the code RUC 2020. This is going to ensure 50% of all the sales get donated back to the church, and it'll also get you a discount of 15% of the price that you actually see in the website. Now, that website is a Shopify store, and that's a tool that Shopify provides to people so they can create an online marketplace for their products. It's very secure. They manage all the payments. So there's no worries about shopping online and giving your credit card information because they store all that securely on their servers. But for those of you who may not want to venture into the world of online shopping just yet, contact information for Holly is going to be provided, and she can guide you through placing an offline order as well. I have to say, it's a really great feeling knowing that the masks that I'm making are going to help, protect us all and keep us all safe. So thank you for your time and thank you for listening to me. And I look forward to providing you masks in the very near future. Have a great day.
These are difficult days and we remain connected. Though physically isolated, we remain connected in the spirit. We are still looking toward reopening for in-person worship October 4th, still pending trial weeks. Please stay tuned for information regarding those, and please stay home if you are in our vulnerable population. We will continue to offer online worship options. And now, friends, let's share in our opening hymn as we take a breath and worship the God of
laughing child, every matin shell, the joyous chorus that the dawn foretells, make all the circle of God. Each cosmic hue, every creature's way, all form the beauty of his vast array, making all the circle of God.
I'm reading from the book of Exodus, chapter 16, verses 2 to 15. Not quite reading verbatim, as you'll see. Thanks to Matthew Schoenhardt for helping with today's reading and reflection. We remember that the Israelites have been slaves in Egypt, and then they are freed through the Red Sea by Moses and his brother Aaron. And now they've been wandering in the wilderness for years, and this is what they sound like.
I'm tired. The sun's hot. My feet are cold. I'm hungry. When are we going to get there? He's on my side of the chariot. Stop poking me, hamster brain. When are we going to get there? In Egypt, we had people to look after us. We fed them and clothed them and bathed them, and afterwards we get the leftovers. And Aaron and Moses, I'm hungry. When are we going to get there? I'm tired.
And is there any Wi-Fi or McDonald's?
No Wi-Fi, no McDonald's. I mean, at McDonald's, we get to have Happy Meals. We had to make the Happy Meals for our overlords, the Egyptians. But then we'd get there like the leftovers, and I kind of miss chicken nuggets.
So this is what Moses and Aaron had to put up with, wandering through the Israelites. And then the Lord heard all this and said to Moses,
I am going to rain bread from heaven for you, and each day the people shall go out and gather enough for that day. In that way I will test them whether or not they will follow my instructions. And on the sixth day, when they prepare what they bring in, it'll be twice as much as they gather on the other days.
So Moses and Aaron gathered all the Israelites, and they said to them, in the evening you shall know that it was the Lord who freed you from slavery in Egypt, and in the morning you shall see the glory of the Lord. The Lord has heard your complaining. It's not against us, it's against God.
And Moses said to them, when they were gathered out in the wilderness, as they were speaking, the whole congregation looked towards the wilderness, and the glory of the Lord appeared in a cloud. And the Lord spoke to Moses and said, I have heard the complaining of the Israelites. Say to them, at twilight you shall eat meat, in the morning you shall have your fill of bread, and then you shall know that I am the Lord your God.
And so in the evening, the quails came, so many quails. They covered the camp upon the ground, and in the morning there was a layer of dew, and it lifted, and there on the surface of the wilderness was a fine, flaky substance, as fine as the frost on the ground. And when the Israelites saw it, they said to one another,
What is this? Where is our bread? I wanted rye. I only eat white bread. This is certainly not bread that I'm used to.
So they didn't know what it was. And Moses said to them, This is the bread that the Lord has given you to eat. How often is it right under our feet and we don't recognize the bread from heaven? Let's unpack this story together. So I just asked Matthew, okay, do we know what we're going to do? And we agree we don't. So let's see what we're going to do.
Well, what happened is Valerie wanted to do dramatic reading, and I was in the church doing some other stuff. So I said yes, because I like to ham things up. And we were reading through Exodus 16, 1 through 13-ish. And we wanted to paraphrase things, and we were talking about what is the essence of the story. And that's where this conversation came from.
That's where this conversation came from.
And so one of the things that we ended with, the Valerie was very, very much about, the bread from heaven appears, and the Israelites don't even know what it is.
It's right under their feet. And they think it's frost, like the dew lifts, and it's right there under their feet, and they're like, what is this? Where's our bread? and there it was.
And I mean, frost is interesting. I found that interesting because it's like you're in the desert, you're in the Sinai wilderness.
Where's the frost?
Where did these people living in like Alexandria ever see frost before? But anyhow.
And in the King James, they call it hoarfrost.
Which people in England would know what it is.
Yes.
Which is very pretty.
Yes.
So the bread is the sustenance they need is provided from God, and yet they're not even quite sure what it is they need. It's odd in that respect. But going back to the beginning of the story, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's back up.
Yeah.
Because why do they have to wander for 40 years? Of course, 40
And so my joke of this is, do you know why Moses wandered in the years for 40 years?
I do.
Because he's a man and wouldn't stop and ask for directions.
Exactly.
That's the joke, of course, I was taught. But the whole reason is in the Bible, there's two time periods you need to think about. The first one is 20 years, and the second one is 40 years. And because back in especially BCE time period, people didn't live that long. So 20 years is that the old folks can remember how it was. So if they said something took 20 years to happen, that means if you went and asked your parents or your grandparents if they were alive, what was it like when King Solomon was there, they could tell you what it was like. And then 40 years is enough that nobody alive really knows what it's like. However, the old folk know their parents telling them what it was like. So the Israelites need to be in the desert for 40 years for one primary reason physically is they were going from an enslaved people who were enslaved, had masters, the masters provided for them, the masters worked for them, they obeyed the master's rules and laws, to independent people who didn't have masters and then needed to learn obedience to God. And they needed to make that change. And for that change to happen, we need to go through 2 generations of people almost for the slave victim mindset to die out and for a new generation to come who has never known slavery and can act as a free people.
So the 40 years is both a magical or it's a packed number in the Bible. Lots of things are 40 years. Jesus is in the wilderness for 40 days. It's a magical number. It means, look out, there's some kind of major shift going on. So for 40 days, 40 years. And so they also had to forget their history and stop being
not so much forget it, but stop living as victims.
No, right, not forget.
And what's interesting here when we start living as victims is, this is early in the Exodus. The Israelites are complaining to Moses and Aaron. And so Moses and Aaron are sort of becoming the surrogates for the Egyptian overlords. And they say, you've gotten rid of our Egyptian overlords. You're now our overlord. You need to take care of us because that's what a good slave owner does. And you're not taking care of us.
Right.
And Moses and Aaron throughout this are saying, A, I'm getting tired of your complaining. And B, no, you need to be loyal and subject to God and follow God's will. And we're a little bit better at hearing it than you are, and Aaron's way better at talking it than I am. And you need to start listening to that word and not look to mortal rulers to tell you what to do, because God's telling you what to do, so start listening to that. And if you need something, ask God for it, and God will provide it for you.
But sometimes we don't know what that providing looks like. Sometimes it might not look like what we think it should look like. So where I was wanting to go with this has to do with these COVID days, because right now we are kind of in a wilderness. We are all in this strange new normal, and it feels like a wilderness. We don't know how to do worship together in the room. We're working on that. I don't know how to engage with you when I can't see you. I have to find you in my heart and speak to you. Sometimes I got nothing, so I, what's it called? I corral Matthew and say, help me, let's talk about this. So we're all in the wilderness. Schools, oh man, our teachers, our administrators, our kids, our parents, everyone's in a wilderness. Our scientists, our political leaders, everyone's in a wilderness. These are different days. And so, instead of complaining, what happens when we open up to some new possibilities? The scriptures call it the promised land. Something's on the other side of this wilderness. Will we drop whatever it is that we came into this with that wasn't necessary, in that case, the victimness, and move into the promised land newly. And when these helps, these blessings, this manna comes from God, will we recognize it right at our feet, or will we say, what is that? So I don't know if there's new possibilities on the other side of this wilderness, Matthew, but our faith is built on yes.
Yes, and I mean, and I completely agree. And one thing also I like in this story is, yes, God is providing, but the people actually doing the day in, day out for 40 years and trudging through the desert and learning how to adapt and cope, the Israelites are still an active participant in the story.
Yeah.
God is going to provide them the true essentials of what they need, but they still need to live it out and do all the work to get there.
Right.
God doesn't magically transport them from Cairo to Palestine.
Which is a very short distance. 40 years, it's like 60 miles.
Oh, heck. 7 days war, the tanks got there in, 3 days?
Don't quote me on 60 miles. But
Don't quote me on don't quote me on the actual time of the Yom Kippur War.
So if I'm hearing you right, the point is they have to apply their faith.
They need to apply it. So they're going to get what they need for the journey, but they still have to go make the journey. And so they still have to work themselves and live their lives and get to the promised land. It's not just going to happen to them.
Right.
They'll get what they need from God, but they're not going to get everything they want from God. Nor are there trials and tribulations and the burden of actually doing the work. It's not removed. They still need to go there themselves.
Yeah.
And take a long time doing it.
It does, and it would require faith to move through that wilderness for 40 years. We're only being asked for a year, maybe 2, but that is a deep heart of faith. And then you don't even know what's on the other side. They didn't know what the promised land was. They only heard tell of it through Moses and Aaron, so they trusted. That's our call too. We don't know what the promised land really is. We don't even know the promise of Christian faith about this life after death thing. We don't really know what that is. But whatever the tiniest resonance is of something across the wilderness, something more. It might even be right here at our feet, and we just have to dig through the frost, and there it is. Be open to whatever it might be. Got any final words for us?
Well said.
Thank you for your help. We come at it from different angles. It's for all of us to dig into these stories and see what resonates with us. So thanks for listening to us and sharing with us in this reflection. And let's join now in our closing hymn.
As the old one will pass away.
we take a moment and pause, taking a breath of the Spirit, a breath of newness. We give to the source of life whatever troubles us, whatever scares us, whatever we're anxious about. None of that is what lasts. We remember those who are struggling for breath in burning lands, smoke-filled air. We lament the destruction of magnificent earth, mountains, rivers polluted now. We remember those who are in the path of Hurricane Sally, recovering from that storm. I know that we're all wondering at what's happening in our world in such anxious days as a pandemic fills our moments and our news, and we try to be normal, recognizing a new opportunity on the horizon. So may we remain connected in spirit as community of faith. May we continue to support one another and reach out in care and communication and love. And may we continue stepping out in faith, moment by moment, breath by breath. And now, friends, may we go out with the words of the prophet Micah. What is it that God requires of us? To do justice, to love kindness, and to walk ever so humbly with our God. Amen.